Here, senior pastor at Pinelake Church. He's Chip Henderson, and he joins us in the cold. I hate that the weather's not better. We couldn't bring better weather for you, but
deer hunting weather.
we do what we can. Man, thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So let's talk about Hartfield and where this vision started, because, I mean, we look at where it's come from.
Yep.
It started with an idea, started with a lot of dreams and a lot of prayers, and now this is a football program that's hosting their first ever home playoff game. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's a big night, no doubt, a big night, and a lot of prayers, and work has gone to get it to this point, but and God's been faithful in the midst of that, but a lot of hard work from families, from boosters, from the coaches and players. And it is, the school started with a belief that God wanted us to have a school where you could have the best of athletics and academics, but also the best of spiritual growth and development for our kids. And so, that's really what we're after, and we haven't compromised the spiritual side while at the same time developing the academics, and now the athletics are catching up. And so it's a great joy to be here and to celebrate this with the Hartfield Hawk family tonight.
When you look at the first half, all right, so we heard, I'll let Jeff tell this story. You're a former athlete in your own right now. we heard some stories.
In my own mind.
Oh, no.
We heard from
you got a little
friend.
reputation going on.
Yeah.
David Culpepper and I are having a conversation the other day, and he said, Chip's got a pretty good history. He's a heck of an athlete, back in church league softball. Yeah.
In a former life, I guess we would say, right? That many moons ago. Yes.
And when you look at the first half, if you were the coach, what are you telling both sides? Because it's been a tight ball game, and coming in, when you look at the first meeting between these two schools, I mean, Hartfield had the advantage, had it pretty easily, and this is a tight ball game tonight.
Yeah, I think first game, from what I understand, the first few minutes of the ball game, Hartfield hit a few big plays, got up, built momentum early, and momentum's everything when you talk about high school kids.
Sure.
I think tonight it's been a dogfight. I think the battle is for the control of the line of scrimmage, is what I've seen, and it seems like the Hartfield defense is controlling the line of scrimmage on their side. You had a play down here at the end that could have made it 14. It's a big play for Park Place to come up with that interception.
Yeah.
I was standing down in that corner. Tough call, either way, whichever way to call it.
I told Jason, I guess tie doesn't go to the runner in football.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right, maybe not.
But it's supposed to,
Right,
so,
right.
So you can't fault that. The game is what it is. You got to keep playing. But my sense is that Hartfield's going to have to rely on getting the ball into their playmakers' hands, keep giving it to 3, 7, 2, and 1. And I think for Park Place, they're going to have to find a way to get outside or to break a play deep if they're going to score at this point.
I got to know, and me and him have talked about this going to church at Pinelake. Your schedule is so insanely hectic. How do you relax? You got Hartfield, you've got Pinelake, multi-campus church. What do you do to just chill out, just to unwind?
Yeah, well, there are a couple things I do. I love being at home with my wife and my family, and that's a big thing. We sit on the porch, we drink tea, and that's just just chill and be still. The other thing, I like to work out a little bit, and so I running is sanity for me. Working out a little bit at the gym, and then my other passion is hunting. And so this time of year, really for me, is a time where it rejuvenates me to be alone, be in nature. Whether I have any success, killing anything, it's really beside the point. Although I do enjoy that, but it's really just I'm using a different part of my brain. It's a totally different thing than what I do day to day, and so that's what recreating is for me. I work with my mind a lot, so to go play with my hands is a lot of fun.
It's interesting. You say you never kill anything, or you don't, whether you kill anything or not. I saw an article not too long ago about you killing a pretty big one. What was that like?
God just smiled on me, I believe, is what that was like. But, just through the years, the joy of trying to grow deer and watch deer and let deer go so that they get bigger. And this piece of property I'm hunting right now, I had an opportunity to, run some cameras and see what's out there, and then just the patience to wait on a day, because on a big deer you usually get one shot. After that, he's going to win. And so again, just with patience, and had some other things going on. The weather finally turned.
Yes.
But and I think God was just gracious to me. Got in a deer stand, and 45 minutes later it's over.
Yeah.
And so that it just doesn't happen that way. That's just a blessing from God. That's what that was.
I want to know, does he go sausage or does he go deer steaks? I mean, what is it when you're processing it?
Look, I'm a sausage guy. We do a lot of sausage in my house, and that's the way to go. We can do steaks too, but you got to prepare that with sausage. You put it on the grill, it's done.
So I want to go back to Hartfield for a second because, that's why we're here, obviously.
Yeah.
And just the growth of the school.
Yeah.
I mean, when we came the other day just to look and meet with the AD here and the head coach, I'll be honest, I did a baseball game over here just a couple of years ago, and it's grown even more just since then. It just continues to grow. And so for folks that are watching that may just be flipping through their phone right now, watching the ball game, and you want to say one thing about Hartfield that maybe there's some folks that think about moving here and sending their kids to school, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say that what Hartfield offers is, I think, the best of both worlds.
Right.
In terms of, you have some schools that are strong academically, but maybe not so much spiritually. You have some other schools, that are just outstanding spiritually, but maybe academics is not their strong suit.
Right.
And so the vision of the school was, let's do the best of both worlds. We're trying to raise Daniels, Shadrachs, Meshachs, Abednego, Esther's. Kids that when they walk out of this place can go to any school in the world and compete academically, but also are leaders, that there's a confidence in them personally about who they are, how they handle themselves, to stand in the midst of anything in the culture and have an answer for why we live distinctively the way we live. That's the selling point of the school, and I think what's happened is, as that message has grown and gone out, and we've seen the product of these kids that are being turned out, the satisfaction of the families, I think that's what's happening. Is it's very attractive, and right now there are waiting lists for every grade. As we're growing.
Outstanding.
It's outstanding. It is, and David Horner, the head of school, the board, those guys are doing an incredible job of maintaining that vision and continuing to work the process. And we often say you overestimate what you could do in 1 year, but you underestimate what you could do in 5.
Yeah.
And I think over a 5-year
That's
program,
great.
you just keep building, and then you look up and you've got a brand new high school and a turf field and hosting your first playoff game and things like that. And so it's just being faithful in those things day by day. And I think God is adding those families who are hungry for that type of environment and experience.
It's kind of reminiscent of what Pine Lake's history is kind of followed. They're following the same line. It appears they're following the same line that Pine Lake had. God has blessed them. You're following his lead and following his guidance, and you're doing what you're supposed to do. As you say, his kingdom,
Yeah.
And it's not the literal his kingdom. It's on earth. You're following the path. You see the light on the path.
Yeah.
It's Psalm 119, 105. You just keep following that path, and everything's going to fall in line for you. And it looks like it's happening here at Hartfield.
Yeah, it is, and that starts with our head of school, David Horner. He's a godly man, and there's some people say there's an it factor, and who knows what that is. I heard a guy, Chris Hodges, pastor over at Highlands in Birmingham. He preached a message, maybe even wrote a book, I'm not sure, but talked about it. And David has that. He just has the anointing, the favor of God. He's a godly man, and God's using him, I think, significantly here. But that's what it is. You just continue to try to seek God's face, and you make decisions as best you can with the information that you have. And over the course of time, I think God does have a way of honoring that as you seek to honor him. We're not perfect by any stretch.
Right.
But I think over the long arc of time, the things that are being done have been done well. And look, the truth is, the desire of the leadership is to continue to improve, to continue to improve academically, to continue to improve spiritually, to continue to improve athletically. And I think if you come back in 2 or 3 years, you probably won't recognize some of the things on the campus.
Look, I'm being serious. We came out to set up last night as well, and we're just pulling out, and I'm like, that building wasn't here when I came to the baseball game, and I came over here.
The whole setup.
The whole setup continues to
of
change.
campus.
I read something earlier this week that it was somewhere around 30 or 33 million had been awarded in scholarships to kids that come in at Hartfield, and I just thought, it started all with an idea and a prayer years ago, and you were a part of that, and now look where it is. How much satisfaction do you take in just taking this in tonight? How much satisfaction?
Well, there's joy in it. Look, my part was very small. I was a part of a team that was praying about it and asking the Lord what he wanted to do. But there is incredible joy and satisfaction. When I look around and see, hundreds of families and see these kids play, and not only the kids on the field, but all the kids playing around, in the other areas, man, there are kids playing football and doing their thing, and girls and all the students, that they're enjoying it. That, to me, gives me great joy to see, man, there's community.
Yeah.
There's community here, and that's the thing that gives me joy. And again, to watch, I've seen my daughter graduate from here.
Cool.
I know the product. I know what was invested in her, and I watch her now thrive in college, and I'm watching my son do the same thing. And so that's what gives me joy. You know, there's nothing personally that I've done, but it is to watch what the school has done and the way that the community has come around. Man, there's just a lot of joy in knowing that there's a light right here.
And Chip, I understand, and you're so modest and humble, and that's appreciated. But the power of prayer is so huge that nobody is small. It's not a small part. It's a huge part. Case in point, our camera guy here, Newman, recently has a very close family member that found out that there were some health issues going on, and we immediately prayed for him, and it was 30 seconds
before we went on the air.
Before we went on the air that we got good news.
Amen.
I mean, it's like, it's not because we prayed, or was it?
Yeah.
That's not for us to know, right?
Yeah.
So the Lord is in control of everything that's going on, and He's got everything planned as you preach week in and week out in Colossians. We're following God's plan. God's going to take care of us. And if it doesn't, that's still part of His plan, and it's okay.
That's right. You can trust Him.
Yeah.
Scripture says you do not have because you do not ask.
Right.
The implication is if you ask, you receive, right? Seek, you find, knock,
right.
it's opened up. And so I do think there's something to us asking the Lord, but we
Yeah.
ask with an open hand, right?
Right.
Say, your kingdom come, your will be done, not mine. And I think that's the key to prayer is surrender and a conversation with the Lord. God, hey, until that happens, what would you have? What needs to happen in my life so that I'm prepared for this answer when it comes, and as it comes, that I give praise to Him and don't forget. And so, I think that's exactly what you do. You trust the Lord, even in the mystery of why He's not answering. You trust that the Lord is good, and we give thanks to Him. His faithfulness and His timing are perfect.
And you said this earlier, too, about people that, just because you're the pastor of a church or just because you're a headmaster of a Christian, school doesn't mean that everything is going your way.
Right.
We all have things that happen in our lives, and and the Lord's in control, and that's what we base everything off of.
Yeah.
I have to tell him this, and my parents, they were looking for a church.
Right.
I'd been going to Pinelake. So why don't you come check out Pinelake? So now my parents love going to Pinelake.
Okay.
My 87-year-old grandmother that lives right outside of Hattiesburg watches Pinelake on the Pinelake app now, and she just sits there in her living room and watches a new series just about every week. She goes, I love these series that he does, and she loves them. So that talks about the reach of what Pinelake is doing, changing lives, and talking about the life transforming power of Jesus, and it's great. I just think that's an example there that Mom and Dad now go to Pinelake because I said, why don't you come to Pinelake? Looking for a church, and now Grandma watches Chip on the TV.
And see, for me, our dads were both PKs, and our dads were buds. I mean, they had breakfast every other week, it's pretty often, Dad passed away in 2005, but to see how things have grown, I know your dad is proud of you, and you're, as is your family and everything. But to see what you've been able to accomplish with not only Pinelake but Hartfield, it's commendable. And I know it's the Lord's blessing, and I know you're humble, and you're going to say, but He has worked miracles through you to establish things like this, and that's commendable. And we're appreciative of you.
Thank you. Well, look, I feel blessed. God's been so good, and I want to be faithful to that. I'm thankful. Look, all the good things in my life, a lot of that comes straight from my mom and dad. They were praying parents. Look, if you don't believe in power of prayer, my mom
preach that. Yes, sir.
So, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for that, and I want to be faithful in my time here. And look, I pray that our lives together really are making a kingdom impact together in this community.
Yeah.
So, man, thank you guys.
We know your time's valuable. Thank you for joining us.
We are so grateful.
We are so thankful that you had a chance to join us, and hopefully the Hawks be able to pull this one off here in the second half.
I hope so.
All right, Senior Pastor at Pinelake, he's Chip Henderson, joining us here for the KDMC Halftime Report. We take 2 minutes and come back with the second half here on the Spirit Media Network.